She left for work at exactly 6:42 a.m., the timestamp. Would later become a cruel detail investigators couldn't stop replaying. The sky was still pale, the kind of gray that feels unfinished. Neighbors saw her lock the door, adjust the strap of her bag, and smile at no one in particular. To them, she looked like every other working woman trying to stay ahead of the day. To her family, she was dependable, predictable, safe. The kind of person who always texted, "I'm home," no matter how tired she was. Her name was Rachel Moore, and she never made it back. By noon, her phone went straight to voicemail. By evening, panic crept in. By midnight, dread settled like a weight on everyone who loved her. Rachel didn't miss shifts. She didn't disappear, and she never ever turned off her phone. When police finally entered the case, they framed it as routine. Probably an adult who chose to leave, they said. Give it time, but time would become the enemy. Rachel worked as an administrative assistant at a private logistics firm downtown. Quiet job. No public spotlight. No obvious enemies, but there was one detail her coworkers mentioned again and again, something that didn't sound important at first. Her boss, Martin Hale, was powerful, respected, and untouchable. He donated to campaigns. He golfed with judges. His smile was always calm, always controlled. And according to several employees, he had a habit of fixating on people he believed he owned. Rachel had been trying to leave the company for months. Emails recovered later revealed subtle threats disguised as encouragement. You're nothing. Without this job, I've protected you. Be careful who you trust. Rachel didn't respond. She just kept applying elsewhere. On the morning she vanished, surveillance cameras captured her entering the office. Building at 7:18 a.m., they never captured her leaving. Martin Hale told police she left early. Claimed she was upset, said she mentioned needing space. He delivered the story smoothly, confidently, as if he'd rehearsed it. And for a while, it worked. The case stalled. Weeks passed. Posters faded. Leads dried up. Online commenters speculated recklessly. Some blamed Rachel. Others suggested she'd run away. And slowly, quietly, the narrative shifted away from a crime and toward an excuse, until a janitor came forward. He was an immigrant worker, overlooked and underpaid, the kind of man people rarely listened to. He said that on the night Rachel disappeared, he was cleaning the third-floor records room when he heard raised voices coming from Martin Hale's private office. A woman was crying. Then silence. Police initially dismissed him, but one young detective didn't. She pulled building access logs. Something didn't add up. Martin Hale's keycard had been used at 9:47 p.m., long after he claimed to have gone home. That was the first crack. A warrant followed, then another. Forensics teams
swept the office again, this time thoroughly. Behind a false panel in the records room wall, they found something chilling: Rachel's ID badge, snapped clean in half. The power shifted quietly but decisively. Martin Hale was brought in for questioning. The same man who once dictated outcomes now sat under flickering lights, his confidence thinning with every unanswered question. For the first time, he wasn't controlling the room, but he still believed he was smarter. What he didn't know, what he never considered, was that Rachel had been preparing. In the weeks before her disappearance, she'd begun documenting everything: emails, voice notes, calendar entries, and one final file saved to cloud account she'd shared with her sister. It was scheduled to release automatically if she didn't log in within 48 hours. That file went public the day Martin Hale was arrested. It exposed years of manipulation, coercion, and threats, not just against Rachel, but against other women who had been too afraid to speak, too powerless. Until now, the courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed, headlines exploded. The man who once moved in shadows now stood fully exposed. Justice, it seemed, had finally arrived. But here's the part that still keeps investigators awake at night. Rachel's body was never found. Martin Hale was convicted on multiple charges: kidnapping, obstruction, abuse of power. He was sentenced to decades behind bars. The world applauded. Comment sections celebrated. Balance felt restored. Yet one question lingered in the air, unanswered. Where is Rachel Moore? Some believe she fought back. Others believe someone helped her escape. There are whispers of a second keycard, a shadow figure on a traffic camera that doesn't match any known suspect, a payment made from a dormant account 3 days after she vanished. And then there's the final message in Rachel's file, not addressed to police, not addressed to her family. Just 6 words. If you're hearing this, I won. So the case remains open. The truth, unfinished. And somewhere between justice served and justice delayed lies a secret no one was meant to uncover. Because Rachel left for work, she never came home. And the story is far from over. The day after Martin Hale was sentenced, investigators thought the case would finally go quiet, but silence never came. Instead, it was replaced by something worse, a pattern. 3 separate financial institutions flagged unusual activity tied to an account opened under a shell corporation. Rachel Moore had researched weeks before her disappearance. The account wasn't large, just careful, deliberate, alive. Each transaction was routed through public Wi-Fi locations near transit hubs, always just enough to stay beneath reporting thresholds. It was the kind of precision that suggested fear mixed with resolve. Detectives told the press it was likely unrelated. Off the record, they didn't believe that for a second. A traffic camera image resurfaced.
Enhanced this time, slowed and stabilized until the blur formed a shape that made the room go cold. A woman, hair pulled back, wearing a cap too low for coincidence, stepping into a bus. At 10:03 p.m. the night Rachel vanished, the bus route led out of the city, then disappeared into a web of transfers and dead ends. No clear face, no clear proof, just the terrible possibility that Rachel had survived the one place everyone assumed she couldn't escape. In prison, Martin Hale stopped smiling. His attorneys filed appeals that went nowhere. His donations dried up. His calls went unanswered. The power he once wielded evaporated, and in its place grew a different kind of terror, the kind that comes when control is gone and secrets begin to breathe. He requested a meeting with investigators, said he wanted to clarify misunderstandings. What he really wanted was leverage. He offered details about the building, about a hidden service corridor, about a freight elevator not listed on blueprints. He spoke quickly, nervously, and for the first time his voice cracked. He admitted to threatening Rachel. He admitted to trapping her in his office. He admitted to thinking fear would be enough. But he denied killing her, and the denial didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded afraid. Investigators retraced the building again and found the corridor, the elevator, the blind spot between cameras where someone could slip away if they knew the timing. They found scuff marks on a door, fresh compared to the rest. They found nothing else. Outside the prison walls, the women Rachel had protected with her file began to speak openly. Lawsuits followed. Settlements drained what remained of Martin Hale's empire. His name became a warning instead of a shield. Justice, in the public sense, had been served. Yet the file Rachel released contained one more layer, something the media missed at first. A series of notes labeled contingencies, written in a calm, steady hand. If cornered, delay. If trapped, record. If silence follows, move. There was a map embedded in the metadata, coordinates that pointed not to a place, but to a route. Bus lines, train changes, walking distances measured in minutes, not miles. A plan designed to disappear without vanishing. The detective who had believed the janitor followed the route on her day off, step by step, until it ended at a coastal town where the ocean swallowed. Roads and names changed easily. She checked shelters, clinics, ferry logs. Nothing official. Then she noticed a chalk mark on a pier, faint but deliberate. The same symbol Rachel had used in her notes to mark safe exits. Nearby, a cafe owner mentioned a quiet woman who paid cash, asked about tides, and left tips folded into careful triangles. The detective didn't report it. Not yet. Back in prison, Martin Hale received a letter with no return address. Inside was a photocopy of Rachel's ID badge taped back together, and a single sentence written beneath it. You don't own the, ending. He tore the letter to shreds, then sat awake all night, staring at the door, listening for footsteps that never came. Weeks later, a journalist received an anonymous email containing a short audio file, wind, waves, then a voice, steadier than anyone remembered. It didn't confess. It didn't accuse. It told a story about fear losing its grip when power shifts hands. About how survival isn't an escape, it's a verdict. The journalist held the story, debated the ethics, and finally published a piece without naming the source. The public reaction was explosive. Some called it a hoax. Others called it proof. Candlelight vigils returned, not for mourning, but for witness. Investigators reopened the case quietly, this time with a different assumption, that Rachel Moore might be alive and choosing not to be found. The last transaction from the dormant account appeared one morning, a donation to a legal fund for workplace abuse victims, signed with a symbol instead of a name. The detective recognized it immediately. She closed her laptop and smiled for the first time in months. Justice, she realized, doesn't always look like a body or a confession. Sometimes it looks like a life reclaimed. Still, the case file remains open. Because power never dies easily. Because men like Martin Hale don't stop believing they're entitled to the final word. And because somewhere near the water, a woman watches the horizon, measuring her steps, waiting for the moment when staying hidden is no longer necessary. The question isn't whether Rachel Moore survived. The question is what she plans to do next.